Hello, hello, hello. Okay. I'm very, very, very pleased to be here. Hello, everybody. My name is Eva Ariela Lindberg, and I was born in Sweden. And I have both Swedish roots and Jewish roots. My parents met in Stockholm after the war, and my father's parents lived in Dalarna, and my mother's parents lived in Krakow. So I'm sort of Polish, Swedish, and Israeli, and was born in Hässelby in Stockholm. And it's going to be a wonderful pleasure to share about my work that I've been doing for more than 20 years. And it's about healing and the flower tulip. I wrote a book about it for around 5-7 years, and then I published it in America. And it's recording the different aspects of the events and workshops that we did in different places, like in America and Europe. And then I also added my artwork into it. I'm going to show you in a PowerPoint presentation the system and the healing. I'm just going to give you a little bio. So after I lived in Sweden, I moved to Israel with my mother and studied architecture and art there. And then I met an American and got married. So we went to California, and that's where I studied at the Center of Integral Studies and also at the University of Matthew Fox in Oakland. Those two schoolings really created the basis for the work that I'm doing. Um, at the CIIS, I learned psychology and drama therapy. And at the other university in the master's program, I studied reinvention of work, which is a Matthew Fox concept, and how we are creating new ways of healing in society. And I think he was one of the first ones. That was in the 90s, mid 90s, to think, more cutting edge around education. So after those 2 years at the master's school, I started to wanting to do something that's combining my drama therapy background and also how to invent something new and different in the world, because this corporate world of stress-based society is not working and didn't now for many years. So we got together a group of friends and then professionals, and I felt like I wanted to share this vision. And then a partner and I, we did these events for maybe 5 years. And then I started recording what is happening. And the tulip came forth, the blossom tulip. And I didn't plan for it to be a symbol of anything particular. I just felt like I want to create community. I want us to get together in ways that we honor each other, and there's healing, and there's really, really reverence of that innocent place in all of us that we keep forgetting in this world and the society, because we have to be very action oriented. We have to be very goal oriented and not showing so much feelings. When I studied, that was more the world. I feel like more people coming out now expressing what is true for them. So I think we're all in a better place than it was 20 years. On the other hand, we're also in a more difficult place these years. But we are going to get through it, I'm sure. It's just been challenging. And I'm really glad about the World United event in Sweden. I think it's great because there's so many wonderful people, and we need to hear all of the beautiful visions and ideas people have. So thank you, Tor and Amrita. And I'm going to now do a share screen so that we can talk about my healing system. And I have been doing it in California and then lately also in Israel the last 10 years. And I've done book talks and also workshops in Europe. So I'm going to show you some images of the places I've worked at and also like the idea behind it. Okay, thank you. Blessings. And I'm just going to do share screen. Let's see if you can get into the PowerPoint. Yeah, here we go. Let's see. Let's see. How do I do the play thing? Just a minute. Here we go. All right. Great. So basically, just going to move this thing. Okay, we can't. All right, so let's look at this. This is the book cover. This is a tulip. I'm also an artist, which I forgot to say. It's actually before I became a healer. At very early, I started to do oil paintings, even at age 12, because I always loved to paint and draw. So this is my art piece, and then I silhouette it with the form of a tulip. You can see there is this family inside this tulip shape platform of community and gathering in this warm pool of love. I'm going to give you the different aspects of what's in the book. So basically, it's a healing model for individuals and communities. And it's a flower conscious healing system. Now, there aren't many people who are doing this. It is kind of out there in New Age still. But I think more and more people understanding that the tulip kingdom speaks volumes. A lot of plants and flowers have their own, energy fields, and we can learn from it. And so the tulip is a very much a special form, and I'm going to work with it, that I think it's good for us to look at the archetypes of the flowers in order for us to heal with it together. Okay, so the book actually contains also the history of the tulips in the different eras, the botany, how to plant them, the qualities, the healing system itself, which I'll talk about today, mysticism, Kabbalistic expression, which I won't go into in this session, the chakra system of the tulip process, exercises for individuals, couples, and groups, which is really nice. And at the end, there are poems by the guests who come over the years, and quotes, and a tulip language. Okay, so this is a welcoming into the special sanctuary image. These are tulips that grew at the Tulip Temple, which was the first sanctuary that I created with the Tulip Healing. It's in California. And tulip means perfect love in ancient mythology, which is a perfect thing to bring forth as a general message to this healing. And next slide is talking about how we can celebrate the inner child, the kings of hearts, the queens of hearts, and the kids of hearts. Those are things we'll talk about archetypally. And also, if we want to look at the shape of the flower itself, it's a very dignified flower. It likes to stand tall and blossom at the top. And it kind of has a silence language of, showing its beauty and trying to tell the world to be in its beauty and slow down, to observe and love, and to breathe deeply. These are the glorious plants of God's creation. And, when we look into the mirror, we sometimes don't like so much what we see, right? We're not like going to wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and go, oh my God, I'm so amazing. Oh my God. But when we go in nature, right, we do look at blossoms and nature flowers and we say, wow, it's so beautiful. That's amazing, right? Nobody says, this flower is not beautiful or it's a bad flower, but we do that to ourselves. We do that to ourselves often, or maybe did. And so we need to learn to accept ourselves as delicate blossoms and flowers, and to realize that we've gone through a lot, all of us, and we have to have a lot of compassion and kindness to ourselves, as we do when we look at the beautiful, delicate blossoms. And learning about how that we're sensitive to things in life. Okay, now this is an image of the entrance we had to one of the events. We did tulip dome shapes in a festival. So I'm showing you the two lips here, and two lips are two lips of the mouth. And so it's a play on word. So let's go inside. And in here, we have two thrones, and I'll explain more later why. We have mattresses around the thrones. So there's two aspects. And the third one, the two aspects is the healing on mattresses, and we have healers work on everybody. And then we have also the regal part that is actually crowning and becoming the king and queen. And why we do have that? Because the tulips are very regal in its essence, in its beauty, and in its allure. You can see here also the tools, the healing tools that we are having. I'm going to use tulip crown and show you. And then we have the format of a grail. The Holy Grail is also very common in ancient history, or during the knighthood, and in different folklores, about also wanting to find that Holy Grail. It comes also from the mythology of the Last Supper, but it's also a tulip shape format. So there's something in the human psyche that's always looking for something complete, to complete itself, and something complete. And in the Kabbalah, we can learn more what that is later on, if we have time to touch on that. And then we have a tulip blossom with thrones in it as one of the art pieces. This is the Tulip Temple in California. I'm going to show you the places we did the work. I'm going to go through them quite quickly, just get a feel for them. You see how the blossoms like to stand straight and tall. Here's the healing aspect. People are treated on mattresses. The point is not to have massage tables. The point is to have a low sort of recline, so that when the healers come, that you're feeling more like an inner child, a tender self, and you feel like a parental healers or taking care of aspect is above you and protecting you. And we have also a couple in the middle who had the tulip healing through the crowning, and that's after the ceremony. And we have an individual woman who have had the meditation with the crowning. I'm just sharing you what we have done. These are also evening pictures. Okay, so there's a lot of things that I write in the book. It's 300 pages. Basically, we like the plants. We also need the sun and the fire. We need water and the rain, the clay, the earth, the spirit. We blossom like that. We feel alive when we're in nature. And it's very important to come back to Mother Earth to heal ourselves through those four elements. The healing properties of a tulip is to show itself and to also be beauty. So we're learning from the different aspects of it as well. That's the flower, the pistils, the fruit, the stem, the bulb. The bulb can be a significant parallel to our own foundation. And there's many layers, so I'm not going to go into it as much because we only have 15 minutes. And then the color kingdom of the flowers and the bee attraction is a whole nother story that is so beautiful and enriching. Tulips, bumblebees, butterflies, that whole scenario of fruition and fertility and love and romance is kind of an allure around this flower. You can also look at a flower when you start to follow it from the day of the bloom and then until the leaves fall apart. That's also parallel to our humans. When we are standing proudly and erect, that's when a blossom is totally at its first stages, and it's exuding regalness. It's becoming its beauty, its glory. And we can learn from that how we stand, how we hold ourselves, our head, our openness to become the grown-up, the beautiful, mature self. And then if we are less so, then the kind of the slouching process, the withering is the stage where the tulips sort of surrender to letting go of its beauty and its power. It's not letting go of its power, but it letting go of its exuding the power. And then the withering process is not giving up on myself if one does it positively, but sort of surrendering. But if one does it negatively, it's a giving up on myself, withering. So there's all kind of stages in there. And then the sagging is like a dying face. So again, we can see maturity and getting older in dignity, or we can feel it as a difficult dying process, or we can succumb to victimhood and so on. We can also look at the bulb we have. Is it a rotten one, a lacking foundation, or is it just dissolving and then the next year it will lay in the earth and become again a blossom next year? So there are different ways to look at the process of the blooming and the withering of a tulip. As I said, there's 3 archetypes. I said they're archetypals, but I didn't talk about the 3 of them. The one is the inner child and sort of the innocent part of the tulip, the delicate, and then the regal self, which one is carried itself, is holding itself in a mature stand-up allure. And then the integration of these 2 parts are very important, because sometimes our inner child is running the show, unfortunately. So we need to listen to our inner child, and that's also part of the workshops and this healing system. Because if you want to be a king and a queen in your life, you have to take that little voice of our inner children with us so that we can become wholesome in our actions. Okay, now I'm going to show you the Tulip Center in Jerusalem, which has been there for 8 years. And here we have thrones in a circle. People are invited to either visit the regal part of the space or the inner child with the mattresses. I mean, they're both working in the same workshop, but one can also choose which one wants to work on more. And then integrating these 2 aspects together is the 3rd part. These are events that we have there as well. I'm just showing you quickly. We've had also events where people wanted to celebrate their queendom or kingdom, and they invite all their friends or family, or a workshop with co-workers, and we're crowning each other so that the woman or the man can feel that they're in a shift in their life, or taking their life to another level. You can see this woman has a crown with flowers on it. That's the thing that came to me as well, as I did the book and the healing events. I did it parallel. And I later learned in Kabbalah that it is very much connected to the higher consciousness and the spheres and the tree of life. You can see me here with a crown as well at the Tulip Center. And the artwork I'll look at later. You can see that on the walls. We'll work on them too. Let's see here. That's a throne and another few smaller thrones. Here's the meditation circles and different places that I've done the tulip in north of Israel. Again, these are a little more details about the tulip archetypes. So just a very short summary, because we can't really go into all the details, but I'll share with you the link to the website, is the fact that if we're relaxed in our strength and powerfully yet innocent in our existence, then this tender strength can be very present when we communicate, and that is the integrated self of these different parts in us. And that's the process that we go through in the healing of the tulip love work. And it's a very special place to have these bridged together. It's hard to explain it without being fully there. I can give you a synopsis after we've worked on the inner child and you've raised up to the bridge between the maturity and the inner child. You come to a regal shift, and I'll read it here. That is a feeling one senses while sitting on the tulip throne, that moment when something shifts inside your consciousness that makes you effortlessly love yourself. Your gaze becomes relaxed, yet focused within self-empowerment. Your heart warm and kindness shines through your entire being. There are different aspects of these regal feelings. I'm not going to go into it here either so much, but it's basically qualities of the heart and innocence. These are paintings that I drew. They've been exhibiting in Paris. This is the process of the inner child being enveloped within the tulip. The space holder, the Grail, the cup-shaped vehicle, the klikibul, like we say in Hebrew, the vehicle to receive and hold love within. You can see the process of the egg and then the embryo and into the inner child, and then expansion into where we need to go in our life, what we're creating. And then we have the regal parts of us, the magicians, the first one to the left top, who's manifesting life to co-create with others in community. Then we have the queen and the king, who are regally enthroned and sitting in their midst of their own kingdom. And then the bottom right is the community, when we come together in tuliphood, in tulip kindness and sharing. Here's the Grail again. There's a Psalm 23. It talks about my cup runneth over. It's the Holy Grail, or the tulip shape, that we can envision for abundance. Here's also a piece of work of manifesting the crown chakra through a tulip consciousness. In our meditations, we're working on raising our awareness through this holding. You can imagine you have a tulip above your head, which holding all the love and light and energy from above through the crown chakra and your higher consciousness, your soul level. And that's held in this tulip shape. And that's why also I write that in my book, that I think people use turbans turbans, like the Turks and the different imams. And they were also very much in love with tulips, like a national emblem. So that was manifested in that headdress. Here we also have the beloved conscious blossoming that I'm depicting here. That if a couple creates this tenderness within themselves, they can reach higher intimacy as well. That's the couple workshops. And these are the last two images. The next section would be the Kabbalah, but that's not for now. I'm sharing here the letters of Hebrew Aleph and Shin. And they're actually constituting the word fire, ish. And usually you have to have a third letter, Yud, in it. And that's also a Kabbalistic thing about how men and women meet together in this fire. Because you can't have fire without that Yud, that letter. Because Yud is the consciousness of God, of the divine. Because if you don't have the God divine flame within the couple, then you just have too much fire and you can burn each other up with that. So you have to have a place of divinity. It's a bit Kabbalistic. That was the painting to the left, and the painting to the right is a gateway into another world of consciousness within the Tulip Kingdom. So I'm just giving you tidbits because it's too short to explain everything. But I would love to share more. I'm going to stop the share here. So I'm really, really excited about sharing this with you. And God willing, we can talk more. And I'm looking forward to see everybody else's video. You can look at tuliplove.com if you want to hear more. And if you're interested in the art of the tulip and other art pieces, you can go on evariella.com. And looking forward to hearing all your other talks. I unfortunately will not be available to be there physically because it's on a Sabbath, and I keep celebrating that tradition, and it's a beautiful time to just be and relax and away from electronics. So I apologize, I won't be there physically on Zoom, but I will listen to it after the 11th of September. Many blessings and take care. God be with everybody. And I'm really glad Amrita and Tor are doing this in Sweden. And thank you, Dr. Jongander, for your vision to get all people together in their truth and spirituality. Thank you. Take care. Blessings and Tulip Love.